Branded residence is a big subject. You know, we've all seen the ETRO coming out, we've seen the sales prices, we've seen the hotel branded residences promise of your 35% premiums as well. So today we want to talk a little, you know, from developers who are doing projects as well and talking about the brand premium and talking about, you know, how to get that pricing and find out how that's really, how are you selling branded residences? You know, I think something is, what truly drives branded residences, you know, in terms of the marketplace?
I think it's the fact that branded residents, offer the buyer two big parts of value proposition. One being that quality assurance, right? That quality assurance, especially in the developing country like Thailand, and how buyers sometimes, they have of course been to Thailand, but they're looking at Thailand and they're still figuring out what's going on. That quality assurance, that association with international partners, give them that comfort, right? And that, is basically you actually get what you paid for. It's actually the quality assurance of what's being built, but also the longevity of the investment that you make, right? So I think that's the first part. The second part really is that, the brand itself, the positive association with the brand, and whether certain brand resonate with your lifestyle or there's certain designer brand that you want to be associated with. That's the emotional aspect of it. So combining those two factors, I think the first part for sure is true for everybody. That quality assurance is of course true for everybody. The second part, if it ticks, then it added to the brand premium, right? So if the second part ticks, the first part ticks for sure, then that's where you really get your brand premium.
I think the emotional connection part that I have with the brands drives a lot. And then the second part is when people are buying branded residences, they're looking at, I think, especially in Asia, the social status actually is a big part. The other one will be the returns, the assurance of the returns, and then the resale maybe if they want to exit. We work closely with a lot of buyers from Singapore and Hong Kong, and then we see that big part is they wanted to know from the beginning how are they gonna act, even if they might or might not. But then buying a branded residence, giving them this assurance.
Well, I think that just look at luxury brands in general. People have got very unique feelings about luxury brands, whether that's a residence, whether that's about a car or a watch. So somebody might have bought their first Patek Philippe watch when they're 60, but they've dreamt about it for 40 years. So our experience with customers that love Etro and they love the textures and the colours and the patterns and the heritage was when they found out that they could buy a home, which was an immersion of their loved brand Etro, our sales story was really compelling. And then I think the next element is, and it goes for all of branded residences, that they're limited supply, and in our case there's only eight residences. So when you add that to this unique feeling that people have got about the brand, the sales story is powerful. So I think that's the thing that's driven the price that we've charged.
There is an increase in, a very, very big increase in terms of the level of sophistication of the buyer. Right? You want to be able to go out there, present to them a product where one, it passed that AI test, right? If you put this search inquiry into ChatGPT, without that emotional aspect involved, you want to be presenting a project where factually it is a superior product on the same price point, right? So from that standpoint, we have to work with global partners, right? So it adds several layers of works along the way, but we think it's worth it, and it would, deliver values to the end customer. The most challenging aspect is actually communicating that value to the buyers, because now we're not only talking about what's the location, what's the specification, what's the ceiling height, which is the typical thing that customer asks. Now we have to communicate to them, and we have to cater it to their lifestyle, right? What do they value? Do they value the service element? Do they value the rental program? Do they value the design authenticity, right? So I think that really adds a whole new level of complexity to the sales pitches.
And then we give the owners the option of basically saving the value of the days they stay to exchange to the other hotel branded residences under our global brands. So they can exchange the stay to a total different location, like in Maldives, or at whichever residence that we're gonna have in the same pool. And on top of that, because we're a hospitality brand, different brands, we have a different membership, and then we attach that part to our residence owners, and then that is also something that our owners will appreciate a lot.
We live in a world which is driven by performance marketing, and I don't think that's necessarily the first thing you should think about when you're looking at luxury brands. I don't think people are Googling or going to... The portals are brilliant, full support, but I don't think people are Googling Etro residences. It's more about the referrals. It's more about agencies that have got really strong relationships with existing clients. So for us, the technology is more about how we're going to present the product. So we're going to build an immersion room, and the idea is that that allows, A, customers to see what it's going to feel really like to live in this home, and B, is going to help us to work with our agency partners who are brilliant, super knowledgeable about Phuket, but maybe they're not as familiar with Etro as a brand, and this technology will help them understand what makes their client tick.
From the buyer standpoint, a lot of the homework that they do or information finding that they did before speaking to us or while speaking with us are done, based on what they can find online and also in their discussion. So from that standpoint, 2 years ago and what they're doing now, you're just adding on top of what they typically would have done, that AI component to it.